Hello and welcome back to another episode of Baseball Night. I'm your host, Tom Brown, joined as always by my brother, Jack. Jack, it has been 80 degrees the last 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
Things are budding, sun
Yep.
shining. I sat outside and did work on my deck yesterday, and there's nothing to be happy about because the Red Sox stink.
Well, like they stink out loud.
That's a good way to put it.
They're really bad. Like bottom third by far of Major League Baseball. You know, nobody thought they were going to be good. Masataka Yoshida tricked everybody into thinking he was the second coming of David Ortiz in the WBC. To try to and then people started to kind of get on board with them having a bounce back year, kind of a redeem year, something where they'd be better than they are. They are not. And all I wanted, I think I said on the podcast, was for them to get better, for the young guys to develop, and for them to be watchable. It is so hard to watch this team play baseball.
All right. Yes, I completely agree. And we are going to break it down because I think the first and foremost, the thing you have to talk about, the worst thing, their pitching is so bad. It is.
Yes.
So let me just, pull up the Fangraphs numbers here.
I got them up if you don't have them up.
Oh, no, I have them.
Oh, okay,
Their
good.
team ERA is 5.42.
Yep.
FIP, which we've talked about, takes the fielders out of it, is 5.16. So it's as bad as it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's that bad. There's no other way to put it. They're walking 3.5 guys a game. They're giving up nearly 2 home runs a game.
Mm-hmm.
And still 16% of the fly balls are going out of the park.
Yeah. And just to highlight where you're getting this from, Chris Sale, 11.25 ERA. Garrett Whitlock got hammered in his first start, 9 ERA. Kluber, 6.92. Cutter Crawford, 6.75. And Tanner Houck really leading the charge with a 4.5 ERA. Those are your starters, immediately putting you into a hole.
Right. So if you just filter on Fangraphs to starting pitching, it is 2.9 home runs per 9. That's bad. 25% of the fly balls are leaving the park.
Mm-hmm.
Their ERA is 6.71, and again, a FIP is a 6.43. So they're as bad as their ERA is saying. And
yeah, there's no mysteries here.
There's something to say about I actually took a screen grab and tweeted this yesterday, that they have allowed 5 or more runs in 7 of their 12 games.
Yep.
I don't care what your offense is doing. You can't keep up with that. You have to win games 3-2, 4-3. Like that happens in 162 games. You have to do that.
Well, the worst part is clearly the pitching just being horrible, but the offense isn't really this like rollover offense that's only putting up 2 runs a game. They're trying to keep the team in ball games. They're trying their best. Granted, I mean, we're going to get into it in a little bit here, how injuries have kind of caused you to how it exposed the Red Sox for just having a dog shit depth chart. But like the offense is putting up some runs. We have started games up 1-0, 3-0, and they're just instantly coughed up by the starting pitchers. And I mean, the ERA guy who's really, 4.1 innings pitched for Richard Blair with a 12.46 ERA. Like he gets hammered every time he gets in the game, which, stop putting him in games. But Sale, Whitlock, Kluber, and Crawford are all above 6.5 runs given out, with Sale being at 11.25.
I'm going to be
I
honest.
said last week on this podcast, he was approaching Chris Davis where he makes too much money, so you have to play him. Now he's in Chris Davis 0 for 56. Like there is no value when Chris Sale pitches unless you like seeing guys strike out on wipeout sliders, which he still has a great slider. Still has a great slider. No other pitch accompanies that pitch.
Well, he has a great slider 1 in 4 times he throws it.
Sure. I mean, the best follow on Twitter, in my opinion, right now is a guy named the Pitching Ninja, Rob Friedman, who kind of just breaks down how much, movement and everything. Chris Sale does still have what most people would consider a very nasty slider. The only other problem is he's now mixing that in with a 91 mile an hour fastball and an 89 mile an hour changeup.
That's not
that
big enough
he
difference.
is throwing right down the middle of the plate.
Yeah, he pumps up the fastball every now and then. You're like, oh, that's at 96, but it's a ball.
After he gives up 3 runs. Like, he gets pissed off and he kicks dirt all around the mound, which is, for a 34-year-old man, the most childish shit I have ever seen in my life. And then he just rears back and throws 97 2 feet above the strike zone.
Yeah, when so going back, the movement on the slider, sure, it's still there. It still moves, but locating is just bad. I actually was just scrolling through Twitter this morning, and this is from Buster Olney, and Boston is already 8 games out of first with lots of problems. Yes, Buster. Among the early problem, Chris Sale struggles, 11.25 ERA, 5 homers allowed, which is 1 fewer than the entire Tampa Bay staff. But he points out his hard hit rate is 40.5, and the percent of pitches that are fastballs are 27.5. So he's getting hit hard 40% of the pitches he throws, and he's afraid to throw his fastball because that is now down to 27% of his pitches.
Oh, and he doesn't have one anymore.
He's
mixing in a changeup. He's mixing in a changeup that looks exactly like his fastball. And that's something I noticed in his last start in Tampa. He was throwing the changeup a whole lot more because of just what you said. He is afraid to throw that fastball because he doesn't have 97 where he can dot it up in the corner anymore.
Yeah.
He has 97 once a game, and that's after he's pissed off. I mean, he must, I don't know if this is stat. He must lead the league in mound visits too, because whoever is catching him has to go like halfway through an at bat and say, all right, I have to go out and calm this psycho down. Because the 8 straight balls to start a game, he actually ended up kind of stabilizing during that game, but he's like really more wild than he's ever been in his career too.
So according to his baseball savant page here, he's in the 16th percentile in fastball spin, and he's in the 20th in hard hit percentage. Average exit velocity off him, he's in the bottom 26%, and his barrel rate against is 21%.
I was just gonna say he's getting barreled up a lot.
It's honestly to the point where when do they scrap it? I know he makes $30 million a year, but when do you
They're
scrap
not going
it?
to. They're not going to.
Well, then the fake injury has to happen. And if this, I know it's 3 starts, but you can have a 6 ERA in 3 starts and be like, oh, he's struggling. You have an 11 ERA, it's you can't pitch.
No.
And, let's like think off into the distance. He has been injured. He has been all this. Could Chris Sale have benefited from spider tack, from sticky stuff? If that fastball spin rate is that bad now, makes you wonder.
Sure, absolutely.
But
I mean, yeah, he has had a lot of injuries too. Again, that just a lot of it, has to do with him being that size, throwing as hard as he does. He has weird mechanics where his arms are everywhere. Like, I get that there's a lot of contributing factors to why he gets hurt all the time. and all those injuries have clearly played a fact in how he pitches now. But he's terrible. There's no other way to say it. He's terrible. He doesn't. No hitter is thinking to themselves before they go into a game right now, oh shit, we got Chris Sale.
No.
It's basically let him throw 93 right down the deck, and I'm going to hit a home run.
Jack, everyone listening, please go to baseballsavant.mlb.com and type in Chris Sale. You have to go to a StatCast pitch arsenal chart, which is a heat map of where his pitches are. I mean, this is like
share your screen.
Share my screen. I'm going to share my screen here for Jack. The listeners can't see. Look at that, Jack. His slider's right in the middle of the plate. His fastball is up and over the plate, so no one's swinging.
Fastball's
and then
a ball.
Sinker is right in the middle of the plate.
Yeah, sinks right into the middle. Now, again, maybe we can see this on YouTube when we put it up, but for the listener, this is the definition of middle for slider and sinker.
It's awful. It's just like, you know what else I'm sick of? And actually someday I want to, maybe in the doldrums of the summer, I want to have me,
the dog days.
Yeah, but I want to have me, you, and Tim all together, and I want to create a list of each of our top 5 least favorite, just like things that are always brought up in sports. Like, just repeatedly, I was thinking of it the other day. I was watching a baseball game, and it's not dramatic to say the tying run is now 90 feet away. The tying run's on third base. Stuff like that bothers you. But as a Red Sox fan that watches Nesson all the time, which, again, we'll talk about that maybe in a couple weeks, but I don't need Dave O'Brien and Kevin Youkilis and Will Middlebrooks and whoever to tell me Chris Sale's saying all the right things, that he's not making excuses. I don't give a shit. He makes $30 million a year.
Yeah.
He does it. I don't care if he lets up 7 runs and then in a post-game press conference says, I was bad. No excuses. I was bad. That doesn't do it for me. It just doesn't.
No, it's I admire his attempt at accountability. But it seems this year more than most, the Nesson state media is hard on trying to gaslight people or trick people into thinking this team isn't as bad as it looks. But I'm going to tell you what, guys. I mean, every stat that we just went over for Chris Sale, and it's not just Chris Sale. It's all 5 of the starters, maybe with the exception of Tanner Houck. I know Whitlock just came back, but he got pounded by the Rays. But it's all the starters. It's not just, this is not just a Chris Sale problem. All of them look bad, and all of the numbers are there to back it up. And then if you need any further evidence, watch a game because they get hammered.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to give Whitlock's my guy, so I'm just going to give him a little more time. But I know
he is, but I was too. I was watching him, and he, like, through the first couple of innings, he looked good. Everything looked crisp. And then he just leaving it right in the middle of the zone.
And we'll talk about the Rays. You just can't do it against the Rays.
No, we have to talk about the Rays because they're, like, first off, I mean, just to touch on it right now, I think what you said is they have 5 more homers given up than the Rays staff.
No, Sale has 5 home runs given up, and the Rays staff has 6.
Okay. The Rays staff from top to bottom, from starter to closer, I mean, this is one of the best pitching staffs I've seen in a long time, and they are dominating right now.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later. We still have, unfortunately, plenty of Red Sox stuff to slog through.
So, Adam Duvall broke his wrist. It didn't not suck. He was on fire, and it was a sliding catch attempt against the Tigers in the 9th inning. It was just a tough break, no pun intended. And my problem is that goes all over the internet on Twitter, Red Sox Twitter, and then obviously state-controlled Nesson, where it's like, well, now other people are going to have to step up. You have to make up for that bat. Listen, I think we talked about this in our group chat a bunch. Adam Duvall coming in and hitting 30 home runs was going to be like the high reward to a low risk,
Absolutely.
high reward signing.
Yep.
But he ended up getting hurt, and it wasn't like his wrist just started hurting him. He slid for a catch. So it was like he's trying to make a play. But if your offense is going to fall apart because the guy you signed, God, like towards the end of spring training or towards the end of the offseason for a low risk, high reward contract, if that's going to make your offense fall apart, then your roster is shit.
Yeah, absolutely. We said that last week. We said this Adam Duvall surge is fantastic, but like, don't get used to it. If anybody thought he was going to have an on-base percentage of 51 or 514, like, no way. Is he going to continue hitting 455? No, there was a slump coming. He's a 34-year-old corner outfielder that they made a center fielder for this year. He has a defensive rating of negative 0.8. He's not a good. He was in the wrong position. There's I have something that I've thrown out early days. I've thrown out in the group chat that I'm not ready to bring to this format yet. That I think there might be somebody else to blame for some of the positioning on this. Adam Duvall should never have been in center field. I mean, granted, he broke his wrists on a sliding catch to try to, I think, close out a game. It was in the 9th inning of a game, right? But yeah, I mean, now this has thrown a spotlight on how thin your roster is at every single position, including straight up not having positions. You don't have a center fielder on your roster. The center fielder on your roster is in Worcester, and he sucks. His name is Jaron Duran.
Yeah, it's
Rob Refsnyder's not a center fielder. I like Rob Refsnyder, but he's not a center fielder.
Refsnyder is a great fourth outfielder to come in
corner
against
outfielder.
lefties. Yeah, but I mean, if you got one day against a lefty and you're going to throw him in center field and take like, well, I guess you wouldn't if you had Duvall, but just a day for Verdugo or Yoshida not to play. Refsnyder, great. He might hit a home run like he did yesterday. He'll play solid corner outfield defense. It's just the way it's being portrayed that Manny broke his wrist in 2004 or 3. David Ortiz's feet were acting up in 2016, or you lost Mookie in 2018. That is not who you lost. You lost Adam Duvall. Like you said, a 34-year-old guy who has 330 home run seasons. And then if I quick check here, 330 home run seasons, which is good. Every other season of his 9-season career have been under 20. So that it's the definition of high risk, high reward. He was white hot out of the gate, but that could cool down. If you understand baseball, it generally, when you're a player of Adam Duvall's caliber, and anyone, even really great players, you regress to your mean. It happens. That's why you end up and you look at someone's baseball reference page and it's like, oh yeah, through this peak, they batted about 320 and then they started slowing down and they started hitting like 290. That's what happens. That's why you have an average.
That's why, exactly right. That's why it's called a batting average. So yeah, again, I said that as soon as he got hurt. I said, now people can blame the fact that they suck on losing Adam Duvall, who is not a 500 hitter. He's not a 400 hitter. He's not a 300 hitter. He's a 230 hitter who will hit 30 home runs. I have no doubt that a full season at Fenway Park, Adam Duvall would have hit about 30 home runs. Maybe even a little more.
I agree.
And that's great. That's great out of your 5 hitter. Did he do things like, did he protect Rafael Devers in that lineup? No. Was he playing completely out of his ass for 2 weeks? Yes. Great for him. Fun to watch even. Great walk-off moment in the opening series. Is that somebody you should centerpiece your offense on? Absolutely not.
Right. I mean, the fact that they're talking as if, I mean, I just made this point, but to put it in light of this season, they're talking like Devers got hurt.
Yeah, I
And
know.
it's ridiculous. And it brings us to the bigger picture of the roster, which we've been talking about. Uh, it's okay. It is okay to go into the offseason and target a player who plays a specific single position and sign them. It's okay to go get a shortstop that's a shortstop and nothing else.
Yep.
It's okay to go get a center fielder who plays center field. And it's like, okay, we got our center fielder. The positionless shit is obnoxious. Bobby Dahlbeck played fucking shortstop.
And terribly.
Yes. And I know he did last year in like a weird end of the year. People were hurt. They were out of it situation. But this is the second week of the season in a must win. You know, you have to get a win. You're scuffling. You're getting blown out by the Rays. Let's throw Bobby Dahlbeck at short. Yep. I mean, it just.
I feel like Bobby Dahlbeck, we've talked about before. We know what he is, and we know we're not going to get any offensive production. Now we're getting subpar defense out of one of the most important defensive positions on the field. In a season where you DFA Jeter Downs, who I have to imagine can play a better shortstop than Bobby Dahlbeck. You have a guy like Yu Chang, who has played short in the games before Bobby Dahlbeck was on the roster. And that's the managerial decision they make. That's the lineup they put out there. It's bad. Kike sucks at shortstop. Really, really bad. And I don't know if this is still true because he had a multi-hit game a couple of days ago. But at one point, he had more errors than hits on the year.
But
don't say anything. Just let that sit out there for 1 second. Kike Hernandez, to this point, may have as many or more errors than hits on the year.
All right, let's look, because he did have his
he had a 2-for-3 game.
Yeah, 2-for-3 game, which might have
bumped him up, which literally put his average up to 114 for lowest on the club.
All right, he has 5 hits. I don't think he has 5 errors.
I think he has 4 errors.
Are you
so again, no, I'm not.
Come on. You're jerking my chain here. Let's go. There's errors. Let's go down to 2023. Shut up.
He's 5 hits, 4 errors, Tom.
No, Jack. He has 5 hits and 5 errors.
All right, there you go. Kike Hernandez, everybody. Everybody's favorite fucking player.
Oh my God. I don't think he'll end up with more errors than hits, but
by the way, I told you I'm going to give you a couple of weeks on this before I unleash it on everybody. There is no sign that Kike Hernandez is going to see any less time, any fewer at-bats, or get benched in any way.
Yeah, I think I know what you're getting at, and I think there's a top to bottom issue that it may not be just the specific person you're talking about. I think there's an organizational fuck up happening right now, and it's infecting everyone like those spores in The Last of Us.
Ooh, I haven't watched that, but I just watched an amazing Pedro Pascal movie that everybody has to stop what they're doing and go out of your way to see this movie. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent with Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage.
I keep seeing a meme from that.
Me too. And the context of the movie, hilarious why that meme is. But oh my, dude, it's so good. It is so good.
All right. So
sorry, I digress.
We're going to use Pedro Pascal. Oh, one thing I wanted to. Yu Chang is like 0 for 21 right now.
Yeah, he's having a bad year.
Pitchers from the Netherlands, Cuba, and what was the other team in that bracket? Might not
Italy.
be Italy. Might
Or no,
not
that
be
was a different one, but yeah.
up to snuff compared to the
I
American
think it
League
was
East.
China was the other team. But yeah, you can say the same thing for Masataka Yoshida, who
I'm not
has
giving up
just
on him. I'm giving up on
I'm
Yukang.
not either. I hope he plays. He had that hamstring thing. He didn't play like the last 2 games in that Rays series. I I need to at least see him in the lineup.
What's the
Um
what's the deal with like you can't play a full series in Tampa Bay? You have to take a day off.
that again, I have thoughts. The
All right.
reasoning why Rafael Devers was not in the lineup a
Why
few
couldn't he
days ago or
DH?
yesterday, because he didn't want to play 4 straight games on the turf at 26 years old, which is a great question. Why didn't he just DH?
Because then
Also,
he's on dirt.
you're also playing for 45 minutes less a night, pretty much.
But
The
isn't
whole argument on that was we're going to save guys' legs and innings for doing that. Yeah, he is on the dirt, but then Tom, what if he has to run on the carpet to make a pop to catch a pop up?
I mean, yeah, yeah, I don't get why you can't play.
He's
All right, again,
26.
we are adless right now, so we're not going to take a break. We're giving you the full show. Let's stay in Tampa Bay, Jack. The Rays are 13-0, the first team to do it since the 1987 Brewers and 82 Braves.
Mm-hmm.
And they're steamrolling right now. They look great, and you look at the lineup, and you're just like, kind of. It gives me vibes of Arrested Development, where it's like her. I mean, they got a Rosarena, but then her, Lau and Lowe are just dominating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I understand it's the pitching, but they have 32 home runs, and they've allowed 30 total runs. It's wild.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. Again, I touched on how good their staff is. McClanahan is straight up filthy. I could
Imagine if
watch
someone
that
picked
dude
him
pitch.
for the AL Cy Young at the beginning of the year. That'd be
Ooh,
wild.
Tommy. I know my guy Alec Mo is having a rough April. But they're good. They just match home runs. I don't think anybody thought they would be the home run hitting team that they are, but they are not missing balls. Brandon Lowe already has 5 homers, I think. He's on fire. I think he's homered in 5 straight games or something like that. And 1 through 9, they may not have a star outside of a Rosarena. Wander Franco, I think, is big time. But they're all consistently good hitters. I think that you don't see a guy there like even Manuel Margot or something like that where you're just like, oh, here's an easy out. Even Vidal Brujan, who's the 9 hitter. It's like this guy's still tough to get out.
I should say I misspoke because it's not just a Rosarena. They have Wander Franco. That was my bad. He's very, 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 very good.
Yeah, and he just flat out hits. He just flat out hits.
And he know what he is? He's a shortstop, playing shortstop.
Plays a dynamic shortstop. Yeah, I actually didn't even get to follow up on that. The versatility argument, that somehow like people are trying to say that the MLB is like the current NBA where you need guys to play 3 positions. No, you don't.
No,
you don't.
No, you don't.
It's a specialized sport. People do the things like not everybody has to be Shohei Ohtani because nobody can.
Did you know that the best team in baseball last year that won the World Series has a guy that only plays third base, a guy that only plays shortstop, a guy that only plays second, a right fielder, and a DH? That's their best 5 players. And guess what? They're the positions they play, and that's it. Yep. I mean, Jordan plays left field sometimes.
And the manager keeps them there and keeps them in the same spot in the lineup, no matter who pitches, right-handed or left-handed.
So but The Rays,
Just the Rays are great. Just a damning stat. Both of the teams you mentioned, 87 and 82, neither one of those teams won the World Series.
Jack, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Right now, they got out
Right.
to the lead. They're going to start cramping about Heartbreak Hill. Um,
Oh, very timely reference.
Thank you. So Sarah Langs points out that the 1884 St. Louis Maroons started 20-0, so there's still some work to be done.
Yeah.
But I was reading an article on The Athletic last night. They do I think it's called the Wind Up, and it can be delivered right to your inbox. No free ads. But I was just reading it, and I think it was Jason Stark, but he pointed out, or maybe Ken Rosenthal, sorry to those legends that are never going to hear this. They pointed out that the schedule has not been great. And I mean, you have to, 13-0 is still impressive. You can just lose games regardless. But
Sure.
it was funny reading the article because they mentioned that, like, it was the Nationals and the Tigers. It just was not, it was some bad teams. And then they said, well, and it was the Red Sox. And it's like, no, the Red Sox fit in that category. The Red Sox can't pitch.
They did sweep the Tigers. But then they went and they played the Red Sox are 2-8 against teams with a 500 or better record. They've played teams over 500 10 times, and they've lost 8 of them.
Well, there you go. And it's very early in the season.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean, the Tampa Bay has a run differential 13 games in this year of 71. That is high.
That's very high. That's like you on a Friday night.
Hey now.
All right, Jack. So they're good, and it brings up a good question and something we may have to start focusing on for the later part of the year. What are a person on the bump or at the dish, to use some baseball terms, that you tune in on MLB.TV? Because, like, if the Rays keep this going, when McClanahan pitches, I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I don't care what's going on with the Red Sox. McClanahan's pitching.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're coming up on a time where we're gonna have to just kind of flip around when the Red Sox are playing because they're not great to watch. So, yeah, we were trying to think of some stuff we should add. Tom had actually sent me a tweet. NW Baseball Night is my new Twitter handle. About some of the hitters you want to tune in maybe after the East Coast games. But we're both subscribers to MLB.TV, and I think that along with the former Red Sox guys, you have your Mookies, your Xanders, that you want to tune in and to see, and even most of the San Diego Padres games for Don Orsillo. There are some amazing talents happening in baseball right now. Like, obviously, I think my biggest guy to still watch pitch every now is DeGrom. I did watch Kershaw versus the Giants the other night, but
you would say DeGrom over Kershaw for you? Wow, that's surprising.
Just of where they are in their careers right now, DeGrom is still so goddamn dominant. It's still so fun to watch. I mean, I watched Kershaw's entire performance against the Giants, so I'll still watch him.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I've been hot on CJ Cron to start this year. I love watching him play. I think that obviously the Dodgers are fun to watch, but what are some of yours? What do you got for hitters and pitchers that you like to tune in for?
Well, Juan Soto I just love how he bats. I love it all.
Off to a great start this year too.
It's very normy, but you kind of have to watch Shohei and Trout. And the best thing about them is if you don't catch the game live, they bat right next to each other. So you can go to Baseball Reference's Mike Trout page, game log, click on his at bats when they are, and then you just skip right to him. And then you just stay there for Shohei. But he pitched the other night 7 shutout innings, and I think in at the beginning of last year, people had a little Shohei fatigue. And when I watch him, it makes no sense that he throws. I was reading an article about how he's been on base for like 32 straight games or something. They have something called the double 100 for Shohei when he hits a ball and throws a ball 100 miles an hour or more in the same game. And he did that this year against the A's.
Yeah. I've noticed too that there is a lot of so it's like anybody, like anybody who gets talked about and is that good, people start to get tired of and shit on. So I've seen a lot of the fatigue come out in kind of like negative ways towards Shohei, whereas like, all right, we get it. And I'm like, I don't think you do. I think you need to watch it all the time. And we're gonna get a big dose of that because they have a 4-game series starting off with the Red Sox this weekend.
Oh,
But
great. How to blow a future segment today.
that's why I didn't mention them in my MLB TV hitters, but you did it. Sandy Alcantara is somebody I'll stop and watch no matter what I'm doing. And I'm going to tell you what, Mr. Ghost Fork himself, Kodai Senga, has been fun to watch pitch.
I gotta go back and watch him because I keep
Oh,
like
yeah,
they
you
have the
do.
ghosts and it seems great. I love an idea like that.
Yeah, Steve Cohn in the New York Mets is starting last year with getting the trumpets for Eddie Diaz. They know what they're doing in terms of making a player like bigger than they seem. And coming in with, I know Verlander hasn't pitched this year, but coming in like behind Scherzer and Verlander, Senga was kind of buried like in that rotation. He was definitely not the top story. And then he started pitching, and it's like, oh, damn, this dude is for real. And he's very fun to watch.
On the fateful Bogarts to San Diego day, my phone lit up with an alert that the Red Sox signed Japanese, and I just freaked out for a second because I thought it was Senga. And then I kept reading the tweet and I was like, oh, I don't know this guy. But
Yeah.
I'm still in on Yoshida. But
I know you are.
the just general team that we've mentioned a bunch, and they were both of our World Series pick, I think, is the Braves are fun to watch.
Oh yeah, Spencer Strider. Give me a break.
Yeah, I like watching Dylan Cease pitch.
Yep.
McClanahan's out there, and you got Kershaw. Oh, can you think of a lefty? Because it's a lot of righty power pitchers with a sweeping slider right now.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a big one we're missing, but it just doesn't seem like they're as abundant.
No, I'm trying to go back in my head right now of where they are. I really can't think of anybody off the top of my head.
Yeah, I guess
I'm sure I'm missing somebody.
Know who's actually been nasty? I just pulled up the leaders on Fangraphs. It's super early, so nothing's kind of shaken out yet. But
Martin Perez,
Jordan Montgomery, he's a lefty, and he's been nasty this year.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's another Jordan talking about our picks. How about Jordan Walker starting his career with St. Louis? That guy's incredible.
Yeah,
he's getting a hit every day.
And who's I like, but is just kind of like ho hum. He doesn't bring a lot to the table, and he looks like a nerd, and it's just funny. Is Zach Gallen?
I like Zach Gallen.
Yeah,
the Diamondbacks are 8-5 right now.
Yeah, they're taking advantage of the fact that everyone on their team is super fast,
and that the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah,
always got those Rockies though. Those Rockies. Yep. Kyle Freeland's a good lefty. I like watching Kyle Freeland pitch, but he plays in Coors, so it's like fleeting. He's about to get crushed.
Yeah. So this plays, we're the segue kings right now. This plays perfectly into a discussion. Last year you brought up a segment that I thought of this past week because the last weekend the Braves and Padres played, and we didn't preview it at all.
Yep.
So last year we did what we're looking forward to coming up this weekend, and basically, a good matchup of teams. So I have two I want to keep my eye on. The slate doesn't look great, but what are you looking forward to this weekend?
Obviously, Trout and Otani coming to Fenway is going to be great. Houck's pitching tonight. It's Friday, so that'll be good. Kodai Senga is pitching again tonight against the Oakland Triple A's, so that'll be good to watch. And then for series this weekend,
There's
not
one.
much.
There's one good one.
Not much is doing it. Yeah, Tampa Bay Toronto is going to be a good one, I guess, just to see if the Rays can kind of keep um their opening season hot streak alive. But yeah, I mean, I'm not
Milwaukee,
crazy about
San
anything.
Diego's. That's the one.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then I mean, we also have the clock. Talking about guys going back to the last thing, that we have the clock going, and we have that Tatis clock, Tom. We're 1 week away,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and he's ready.
Did you see the tweet from the guy that gave up his first home run
Oh no.
in AAA? Oh, it's funny. So someone from, I don't know if it was the San Diego beat writer, but some writer wrote, so and so will forever get to talk about the first home run he gave up in AAA was to Fernando Tatis, and the pitcher responds, what it should say, cheater hits home run while on steroid suspension after cheating. And I was like, okay, Fernando Tatis is better than you, but you know, it was just a funny response, because what can Tatis say in that situation? Everything that pitcher said was true.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not a big fan of that, but so just for Sunday, a lot of nice
suspension.
Yeah, I get that. So he's not currently on steroids.
I know. That was funny.
I think a AAA pitcher is a little salty that he ran into somebody better than him. A lot of good pitching matchups on Sunday.
We got that.
Pablo Lopez versus Garrett Cole, Minnesota Yankees. McClanahan versus Manoah. Gallen versus Sandy Alcantara. A lot of good stuff. Grayson Rodriguez versus Dylan Cease. Ooh, baby. Sunday's going to be a good day here.
I know. Yeah.
And then it's not
oh geez.
Excuse me. It's not really the weekend, but Monday morning, that marathon game.
Yeah.
we got a date with Shohei Ohtani at 11 a.m.
So, yeah. The worst thing about not working in Massachusetts anymore is not having that day off.
Last year, Shohei Ohtani struck out 18 and hit a home run in his only start at Fenway.
Oh,
so I'm excited to see that. If he strikes out 18 batters at Fenway, so be it. Like, I can't wait for it.
Yeah.
However, a guy we didn't really talk on, that you didn't give up on Yoshida yet, and I haven't either. And I'm not ready to pull the plug on Tristan Casas yet, but I'm gonna need to see something here to close out the month. Maybe 2 at bats in a row where he walks, or something where he doesn't go to the Kike Hernandez school of swinging as hard as you can in an uppercut.
I mean, he let out a scream and a bat flip after a 14-pitch walk yesterday.
Yeah, great. Listen, I saw Freddie Freeman work a 16-pitch walk the other day, and I love a great at bat. Maybe settle the fuck down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. I agree. It's very, very small sample size, but you have 137 at bats and you're batting 175. So
yeah,
we've talked about being excited for him, and it's still early in his career, but 175 is low.
Yeah. Well, it's still very early, and he's still very, very young.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe the 14-pitch walk knocked something loose and said, I can be patient and I can do this. So maybe it was a self-affirming scream.
Mm-hmm.
But any offensive production would be great.
Yeah, currently still super early, currently sitting at a negative 0.4 WAR. So Jack, that brings us to everyone's favorite segment. I always drop my Jordan book there when I get this.
He's going to take that personal.
Probably. I'm not worried about it. Okay. Let's see. Jack is sitting at 1-1. Tom is sitting at 3-0. So let's see what we can do to stump old Jackie Pants here. All right. I had a year in mind. I had a year in mind because
you're a no good trickster.
Yeah, and honestly, I was thinking the other day of like there's a 2-year time frame in baseball where I just kind of know nothing about it. Other years you can kind of, I could probably know a little trivia about it, but there are 2 that are just, and so I picked one.
Oh boy.
Okay. Milwaukee's Robin Yount wins AL MVP.
Okay.
Dale Murphy wins NL MVP.
Yeah, 1981.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jack is wrong.
Damn it!
1982. And I picked it because it's been out there these past couple days with the Rays.
I was 1 year off. The 2 fucking questions I got wrong, I was 1 year off on both.
Hey, some of us are right on all 3 times, but
yeah. You can give a fucking extra hint. Oh, it's the year New York moved to California, Jack, you dumb shit. Give him the easiest shit ever. I'm upset. I am upset.
You didn't have to come out here in premature guess. I was finished reading the second one. I would have mentioned Steve Carlton won a record for Cy Young.
That wouldn't have mattered. See, it's multiple times like that. That means nothing. Like, oh, Steve Carlton won the Cy Young. Okay, he won 8 of them.
But what if I got down to Carl Yastrzemski retired after 23 seasons?
I still would have said it was 1981 because I thought he retired in 1981.
Ricky Henderson steals 130 bases. And the Cardinals won the World Series. That's what it was. I was kind of in my head thinking of who won the World Series that year. I had no idea. And it was the Cardinals.
I looked it up earlier today because I wanted to see who won in 82 and 80 and 87, the years that the Rays
So the 80s
had.
Cardinals were pretty good. Early 80s Cardinals.
Yeah.
All right, Jack. Well, you enjoy watching Trout and Ohtani. And remember, folks, Friday night's game is on Apple TV Plus. So
yeah, I actually don't know where to read that. 82 and 83, not 81 and 82, Jack. What is your Dale Murphy knowledge, you stupid asshole?
And we're going to stop recording. Bye, Jack.